Hey, what's going on, guys? 118 Seth Shadow here. There is a heaping helping of movement happening on the market from the past few days. Even with the lull that we've got with the BSF right now, there are still reveals going on Bushiroad's side. And today we got Feltyrosa announced along with some new support cards for her. And because of the high amount of cards that I really want to be able to cover, I am going to be splitting today's Market Watch into two. So stay tuned for another video later in the evening today covering some other movements. But to start off today, we are going to talk about Feltyrosa. So Bushiroad this morning announced the new dress-up version of Feltyrosa, where skills it gives the front row 10k if you have a Feltyrosa grade 3 in the soul. And it has the same as the original Feltyrosa where you basically get multiple drive checks, but it works differently from the original. To make the comparison, the original Feltyrosa was every time you drive check a normal ghost unit, you counterblast one and call it to an open rear guard in the front row, and then you get another drive check. The new Feltyrosa is you counterblast one, and you get the following skill twice. Every time you drive check a normal ghost unit, or you check a Feltyrosa grade 3, you may call it to an open rear guard and get another drive check. It's a once per turn skill, but it's a once per turn skill you get twice. So you basically get two instances of it, allowing for up to 4 drive checks in one turn. So on top of the strategy of trying to get as many attacks as possible, the new Feltyrosa also provides the front row with an additional Persona Ride bonus of 10k, making the columns pretty scary, as Persona Ride would effectively make it so that you are making at least 33k units without boost, and you are going to be attacking 4 to 5 times in one turn. Unless, of course, you just check 2 triggers, but that's a different story entirely. Feltyrosa, with the announcement having been done just now, there hasn't been too much movement yet on Feltyrosa cards. For the most part, the SPs are the only ones that have any significant value, and most of the movement for the high rarity happened well before the reveal, as we covered before, such as the grade 1 and the grade 2 of the ride line are now $15.19 apiece. Then the grade 0 is $7 to start off with and has the most listings, but that's only 6. The triple rare of Feltyrosa's grade 3 is still under $1, just barely. And if you want the SP, it's $11 with 9 listings, onward and up. And if you want the LSR, there are only 2 listings left, starting at $174. And that is also over its market price of $130. Some other support cards are Eleanor, which is also from Lyrical Set 1. This one is Soul Blast 2. It gets 15k until the end of the battle it attacks, and at the end of the battle, it goes on the top of your deck. So it guarantees that it's just going to come back out and hit again for another massive bit of power. And the fact that it gets 15k on its swing makes it, on that Persona Ride turn, at least a 45k swing, which is pretty strong. The SP is $6 plus right now, and the double R is currently $1 with over 20 listings. The SP only has about 6 listings at this point. If you don't want to go with the top deck options like Eleanor, where you're guaranteed to recall, you can always go with stuff like Irene, who at the end of the battle, it boosts a ghost rear guard. It will put the card on the bottom of the deck, and it's also a 10k booster when it does that boost. Problem is, the double rare is out of stock and has been selling for $4 to $5. And the SP is $20 right now, with its market price being just over $6. And there are only 2 listings left of that one. And the last one I want to cover is Diabolos, which had already seen a buyout well before Feltyrosa's reveal. This one calls a ghost from your drop to an open rear guard when it's placed, and then it goes to the bottom of the deck after its attack, similar to Ingrid, if you remember that from set 1. But the triple R is $20 right now with only 2 listings, and there's only 1 listing left of the SP at $27. So this card has gone up substantially in value and has potential just for calling cards to the board to fill your board, but it's probably a little bit on the weaker side in terms of the power gains that you're going to get. But Feltyrosa already fills that gap, as we discussed. Promos are the next topic. There have been fallouts in the prices for most of the promos from March to April's tournament season, and even some of the booster pack promos like Broken Toys and Oath of Vengeance are starting to see drops, but they're not pretty big. Ardor Hatchet Dragon, for instance, from the March-April set, the foil is $49 minimum with its market price being $75 plus. Cleodona for the Shadow Paladin base build is $31 for its foil. Broken Toys, $39 to start with, which is for Tamayora. Oath of Vengeance Tekrea, $35. And then Drag Ritter Halbei, $40 to start off with 6 listings. Those last 3 I mentioned are all set 7, set 8 booster pack promos. And so they're lower in circulation in comparison to the tournament promos, which is why you're seeing more fallout from the tournament promos before them. Ardor Hatchet Dragon's regular rarity is $25 now. It's fallen out pretty far, but it's still pretty expensive. Although I would expect the March-April tournament promos to continue to fall out as circulation continues to rise. Then Prosper, the Forest Protecting Hunter for Leonore, foil on that one is starting at $28, while the common version is now $15. If you want the overtrigger from World Finals 2022, it is 1 listing 6969. Did it actually sell at this price? No, it sold at $27.48 last time. So, yeah, that's just really high value, but we'll have to see where that goes. But in terms of some of the other promos, Result of the Experiment henceforth has fallen out further and has over 50 copies altogether between its foil and common. So we're looking at $12 to $15 depending on the rarity. And then stuff like Knight of Old Fate Cordelia for Majesty Lord Blaster, Blaster Blade support. The common for this one has fallen to $8. And I would expect that we'll see some more fallout, especially on the common version side for a lot of the promos there. So if you can continue to wait, you'll probably be able to get some better deals. Overtrigger talk. Source of Dragon Deity of Blessing. Bless Favor. The Overtrigger rares from set 1 and set 6 are now bought out to the point of $19. There's only 1 listing left for set 1 and 3 listings for set 6. Did they actually sell? 1 did, but otherwise it has sold for 15 light played. And for set 6, where did it go? Let's see. Oh boy, this one has actually been selling, and there are actually more quantities of the set 6 one overall, even though there are only 3 listings. But yeah, this one has sold a few times at $19 already. So, having said that, given the ship has sailed, I do want to bring Dragveta into the spotlight here, as this card is still $10, and I would say it's the next to go when it comes to overtrigger buyouts, especially with Gondeva coming in set 10. Gondeva has been showing promise in the WGP tournament that happened over this past weekend in Japan, and has been anticipated to be quite a strong deck. So if you don't have a Dragveta, it would be a good idea to at least get one in your back pocket, as this card has almost never dropped below $8. So for it to be $9 to $10 right now is definitely a good price point if you need to keep one. Gold-Dog Dragon. This is decent tech for Avagarda, which I talked about once before. It was featured in the anime, showcasing a 5 attack combo that Avogarda can perform with it. When this card's discarded during your turn, if you have a set order in your order zone, you can counterblast and call this to rearguard. And Avogarda needs you to discard a card in order to restand. So, you'll be able to discard it during the battle phase and then call it, allowing for multiple attacks. The card is still really cheap though, and I haven't seen any builds play it yet. So I suppose it's just opted not to go for it, despite the fact that it's a pretty explosive 5 attack combo. But it's cheap to pick up if you do want to give it a try. But Panther Dragon from set 5, this one is sold out. And it's been selling for $2. So you'll need to shop around for this one if you want it. But this is also Avogarda support, so to speak. Ultimately, it's a really, really generic double R. You Soul Blast 1, it's an axe skill. Once per turn, you can draw a card, then choose a card from your hand, discard it, and then if you have a set order, it gets 5k. So it's basically a 15k attacker that cycles for you every turn. It's good for Avogarda, I suppose, in the sense of picking up your pieces, but you do have to be careful as it requires soul. So don't burn it out too much, otherwise you'll eventually have to Soul Blast your starter, which will deactivate Avogarda entirely. Final topic for the first video is going to be on Diabolos units. And we're going to start with Mabel, who is currently $7+ for the double R with 17 listings. And the SP has 9 listings and is starting at close to $17. But Mabel was one of those cards that used to be chump change. You could pick this card up for under 25 cents way back when. When Bruce was first announced, it ended up becoming $1, and now it's just taken off like a rocket. So it's well out of reach in terms of budget as it used to be, but yeah, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I suppose. But one that fell out, Diabolos Jetpack Leonard. This one used to be about $6 for its triple R when Bruce was first announced. Viamont's Bruce, of course. But it's fallen out to the point of $3, and it has been selling at $3, but there are a good amount of quantities available at that price if you want to buy the triple rare. But the big winner is Stephanie, the common from set 4, where if you're in Final Rush, all other units in the same column get 5k until the end of turn. Which is interesting how it says until the end of turn despite it being a continuous skill. But then for Viamont's Bruce, Final Rush is active during your opponent's turn, so Viamont's Bruce will actually be an 18k with this. Now, that also makes it a prime target for Chronojet Dragon, for instance, so if you're playing this against Chronojet, don't anticipate that 18k to stay there. But regardless, this card was a 25-cent common for the longest time, and even after the announcement of Viamont's Bruce, it stayed in the cent range, and it was only recently when the set was actually released that it suddenly spiked up to $4. Overall, you're looking at $3.50, $3.75, but then you've got shipping to consider as well. But Stephanie's definitely the big winner in terms of value when it comes to the Diaboloses. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later in the evening.